This year, with the Big Valley Rancheria out of California, they have an elder housing project. So we've invited them to speak to us today. They're joining us by Zoom as well, so you'll see them up on the screen. Today we have with us the Tribal Administrator, Ben Ray III. He's the Tribal Administrator for the Big Valley Band of Pomo Indians and also currently serves as the President and CEO of the Tribal Consumer Financial Services. Ben Ray has been providing consulting and contracting services to tribal governments and nonprofit entities for over 20 years. It's been his personal goal to assist tribes and tribal members with the pursuit of self-reliance and financial sustainability through education, training, support, and advocacy. Ben Ray has worked closely with many tribes in the pursuit of making the future a brighter place for Native children, youth, adults, and elders, free from violence, abuse, and suicide. He believes each individual deserves the right to be happy with a place to call home, an opportunity for advancement in their life. We are pleased to welcome Mr. Ray to this year's Legal Symposium and learn more about their elder housing project at the Big Valley Rancheria. If you could give Ben Ray a warm welcome with us today.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to meet you, Tony. I appreciate the invitation and welcome to everyone at the NAIHC Legal Symposium. I'm sorry I cannot be there in person, but unfortunately we've had many events here at the tribe, booked in advance for the holidays. So I'm sure everyone there. We do have a very large group there. I'd like to welcome Gina Gomez, who's our housing manager, Virginia Valente, who's our occupancy specialist, Ramona McLeod, housing assistant, Mike Gomez, our vice chairman, as well as our CBDO members, our community-based development organization, Joe Weber as well. So welcome to all of them. We are represented well there. Wanted to talk just a few minutes about our Bagoga Napo Tule House Village. So the project started during CARES. This is a combination of a CARES and we're finishing up with ARP funding project. Obviously, it is being coordinated by our housing services. But as we all know, and something I think that we all use on a frequent basis, is the fact that it does take a village to do these types of projects. So I'm gonna, basically go over our project in brief and tell you a little bit about where we're at, some of the obstacles that we encountered, as well as looking at a lot of the wonderful things that are occurring within this project. In early 2020, one of the big things that the tribe decided as a major emphasis that we needed to push forward was just housing. We have, some housing here. We have a 35 home subdivision, and then we have multiple housing here on our very, very small rancheria. In California, we call them rancherias, not reservations, just, semantics really. But for the most part, we, like most Indian nations throughout the country, always need housing. But here in California, we're very short on land. We sit on, and we've purchased most of this back, but we sit on a little less than 300 acres, part of which, can't be used. And so we don't have that expansive land base to allow people to come on and build homes or build homes for them or these types of things. So we have to kind of get very creative in doing different projects. So one of the things we've been focusing on the last 3 years is to secure land directly adjacent or very near the rancheria here in Lakeport, California. So next slide, please. We sit on a very small piece of land on the shores of Clear Lake. There are 6 tribes here in this county, Lake County, which happens to be economically one of the poorest counties in the state. And we are about 2 hours from any, what I would consider major metropolitan area. So that would be Sacramento to our southeast, and San Francisco directly to our south, the Bay Area. So we're up in a gorgeous area. We sit on one of the largest natural lakes west of the Mississippi. It has over 100 miles of shoreline. It is beautiful. It's a natural lake, and was formed by the mountain you saw on the first slide, which is Mount Canocti. So we sit just on those shores, and it's a really, really gorgeous location. I remember growing up here at, staying at my grandma's house when my parents are working, and swimming in the lake, playing baseball with Mike during the summers. You know, there was just a lot of different things that we participated in here at the reservation. But we are farther away from things. Lake County only has approximately 65,000 residents in the whole county. So again, very small, very rural, no major industry, but very, very beautiful. Next slide, please. So as you can see here, we're directly at the very southwest edge of the lake. In green, you'll see where the main part of the Rancheria resides. We have purchased almost 40 acres in the past 5 years, you know, utilizing various funds, our own funds that we have from our economic business diversification, as well as other grant funds that will allow us to purchase these types of land so that we can start building homes on them, and apartments, or just any sort of housing that we can. So the Thule House Village, the Elders Housing Project, basically started as an idea. And, you know, since it does take so many people, we had, like we do with everything else, a really, really good work group. It included the housing staff, and included our design partners, Nathaniel Coram and Joseph Kunkel from Mass Design, have been just, oh my gosh, tireless, effortless partners who just have really, really helped us develop this project, as well as Barbara Roloff from Seven Sisters. And then our own staff, our TIPO staff, Ron Montez, our environmental director, Sarah Ryan, as well as Elizabeth Howe, our economic development director, and then the housing staff, have just all worked closely together for 2 years now to try and really make this project a reality. Next slide, please. So the tribal members here, of which I'm also a member of, so, you know, a lot of times you have folks that, you know, work at tribes, which are good folks. I just happen to actually work here as a tribal administrator, but as well as I'm a member of the tribe. So we are descendants of the Habinapo band of Pomo Indians that have inhabited this area of Clear Lake for approximately 11,800 years. And as I was telling you earlier, it's difficult because we have a really high poverty rate. And I know that's nothing new in Indian country. We're used to being kind of pushed out on the side, or in areas that are, you know, maybe considered undesirable, at least when that happened. And then because we're so resilient, and I truly believe that, as our most groups that are not the main group in any particular area, we remain the most resilient, particularly in our area. Next slide, please. So just a brief history. You know, we were established with a treaty in 1851 with a very small 0.72 acre reservation. There's various Pomo bands around the lake. Pomo Indians are located in Northern California only. So in Sonoma, Mendocino, and Lake County, there are 22 Pomo tribes. Some of them are not federally recognized, but there are 22 different Pomo tribes. And each of us were given small parcels of land. The government, obviously, like most tribes, did not necessarily want the Pomo tribes to be together, so they kind of split us up. In 1963, the California Rancheria Act of 1959 illegally terminated the tribe status. And then you may be aware of a landmark case called the Tilly Hardwick case. And in 1983, I'm proud to say my grandma was one of the people, along with some of our other tribal elders who have since passed, as well as her. The tribe regained recognition after a court order. So in 1999, the tribe established a housing authority, our community-based development organization, and began the first housing project in various phases. So that's kind of how we've continued to try and provide housing for our members since then. Next slide, please. So the Baganaba Thule House Village, this is a rendering from Mass Design of the village itself. It's very, it sits directly adjacent and across from our existing housing subdivision. It is a separate area the tribe had purchased many years ago prior to me coming in 2014. And we wanted to create a elder unit that was not the typical just modular units and stuff. So I worked with Mass Design and the team, and Mass was able to recommend a few really good housing designers as well as construction companies for kind of newer, if you will, type homes. And we wanted them to be filled with, lots of natural light. We wanted them to be just different, solar ready, anything that would allow us to really make the elders feel at home in the village. Next slide, please. This was our kickoff. You'll recognize the gentleman all the way to the screen. Let's see, it'll probably be on your left, the second one from the end there. That is our vice chairman, and he's walking around there. And it was really important to us to try and really put, the spirit of getting this project, kicked off right, and really trying to support it from the beginning from all levels. So here you see staff members, you see folks from MASH, you see tribal council members, and then some CBDO members. You'll see Joe there as well. If you recognize him in his mask, some of these people, they'll be walking around and you'll probably recognize them in their masks as well. But it was really important for us to involve a lot of different folks from here at the tribe. So that was our kickoff day in 2020. Next slide, please. So this is an overview of the actual housing project. As you can see, it's 6 separate homes. They're put in a couple different groupings because we wanted to kind of have some natural areas and riparian areas, parking. Obviously, we've had to design and construct decks and stuff. Right now, the way that the housing is looking is we are waiting for one thing. And unfortunately, here in California, there's a lot of people waiting for this exact same thing, and that is PG&E, electricity. We put the, and that is, I would say, our one main obstacle. We had a good contractor. We've had our public works. I'm sorry, I actually forgot to mention them. John Gachuki and Steve Johnson and our gents at Public Works have done an amazing job, and they work with the contractors in getting water and sewer hooked up to our own. This tribe is very, very big on self-sufficiency, and so we do have our own water and sewer system. We're actually just breaking ground this coming year after a years long feasibility study and just everything to redesign our drinking water facility and separate it from our wastewater. So it's still sitting at a price tag of over $2 million, and we have multiple agencies that are assisting us in making that happen. We have a lot of iron and manganese here, so the new system is state-of-the-art and designed to filter out all of that because it does ruin a lot of hot water heaters and sinks and tubs, just everything in our homes. So we're alleviating that problem as well at the same time. But we're very, very fortunate in that we have good water and good water supplies and a good treatment system. And we're also expanding our treatment system to be more ecologically developed with utilizing the water that we recover for landscaping and a lot of other uses. So those projects are separate and ongoing, but amazing projects in their own right. But our public works, everything's hooked up. All of these units that you see here are ready. We're just waiting literally for the electrical connection. One of the things here that's happened that's kind of interesting with, and I know that none of you can be immune to the news, so you have to have seen the devastating fires that have occurred in California. Unfortunately, here in Lake County, almost the entire county over the past 6 years has burned. Different parts have burned, and it's just been a really, really sad and difficult time, and particularly in relation to housing. So a lot of folks that live both, on the Rancheria, knock on wood, thankfully here at the Rancheria itself, we have not encountered that, but we have provided shelter. We've opened community resource centers, both for our tribal members and the community at large. We still function as that today. We have a contract with PG&E to provide cooling centers and places where people can come and charge their phones and sit in a little bit of coolness for a little while, in the summers where it gets very, very warm here, and get out of the smoke. So it's been a difficult time, but, again, we have to try and meet those challenges. And so we feel that, projects of this nature are very, very positive step forward in looking at how that can get done. So we have really tried to work with PG&E, but it has taken them an extraordinarily long time to get our connection together. So we're very fortunate. A gentleman that I used to work with is a corporate sustainability principal now at PG&E, actually representing tribes as our tribal liaison. So I am getting his assistance and trying to push our connection forward, as right now we're being told, and we have been told for the last several months, that we cannot get these homes connected until March of 2022. And to me, that's just unacceptable. So I'm pushing very hard through a lot of different channels, you know, just doing all we can, because I would love to try and have elders in these homes by Christmas, because we cannot finish constructing the decks and all of the amazing amount of space around these homes without the electrical connection. Next slide, please. Now, here what you see is a view from our subdivision with, you know, we try and make obviously designs just like any of you would. At the corner of a private road, which is called Parkview Road. That's the road that you see directly in front of you that curves by the red car. So that will kind of orient you there. And then that goes back into other residences that are not tribal. Okay. And then the road in front of you is called Osprey Road. This actually used to be the main thoroughfare from Lakeport, which is the town just directly to our northwest, and Kelseyville, and Mount Canocti, which is directly to our east. And so what happened is several years back, when we decided we wanted to start doing housing, we worked with the county and the state and, you know, Caltrans and just everybody to realign that road so that it wouldn't pose a danger to the tribal community, since we have different projects going on in the area and the tribe owns all the land around that. So that was a very successful project, and that has really, you know, allowed us to develop this area. Next slide, please. So this is actually a design photo from walking up into the units. As you can see, these are the actual units. So even though it's a rendering, they are just that. You know, the coloring of the buildings, everything about these was designed, and we looked for to try and get something that would match in the setting and our beautiful kind of, you know, we're a combination of woods and meadow here, right along the edges of the lake. So it's a beautiful area. So we wanted something that really kind of meshed in with the land in the area. Now, part of the issue here in California, since so many houses have burned in the fires the last several years, is finding vendors for these types of homes. So again, Mass Design had done a few contracts with other tribes and had worked with them, and so they recommended, and then we kind of really put the word out there to try and get the best ones that we could, and we narrowed it down to 2, and we were able to get a couple of excellent floor models that completely were renewed to like new conditions, as well as some brand new ones as well for our project. So these units are ready to move in. Like, everything's installed, appliances are ready, they're completely finished units. And like I said, as soon as we get PG&E hooked up, then down the road, our plan is to also, because they are solar accessible and ready, to also put that on these units to allow for that type of energy usage. Next slide, please. So this is just a different view from inside the unit that looks out into the common area of the elder housing for one part of it, because there's 2 different areas. Next slide, please. This is a drone view, if you will, from above of the 4 units. So as you can see, what we tried to create was a common area in the center of the units. So, you know, for safety, for ease of use, for people to go out and visit and stuff, but as well as keep a private area behind each unit, so that people would have their own seating to sit outside, whether it's just to, you know, enjoy a morning, peaceful morning, or, you know, lunch, or visit with family. You know, we just wanted each of the units to have that. As you can see on your right side there, we're definitely installing handicap accessible ramps, as well as stairs into this whole area. so that, if you have caregivers, if there's folks that need dialysis or have other issues and you need to use gurneys or wheelchairs, then we're not going to have an issue with any of that with this project. Next slide, please. This is a different view showing both of them. As you can see, they both have the ability to have different styles. This is a 1 acre parcel, just to orient you. So we feel very advantageous to have, not too highly concentrated housing on this parcel, because we wanted it to allow for, just elders. So no one besides elders. These will be elder designated homes. No one else will be allowed to live here. It'll either be 2 elders or an elder and a caregiver, or just an elder. So all these homes will be specifically set aside and designated just for them and appropriately sized, so that there's enough room, but not too much that it becomes burdensome to take care of. Next slide, please. Here's a view from Parkview Road, looking there towards that, so you can kind of get a feel for, the area. Not unlike any other residential area that allows us to have, natural plants. The Tribal Historic Preservation Officer and the design group, as well as our environmental team, worked really, coordinated excellently to work around flood zone issues, which, it's a 100-year floodplain, so it's not too dramatic, but still we want to make sure it was, up out of that, but yet that there was still ponds, there's still the ability to put in plants and different things over time to make sure the area does remain a lot of its natural characteristics. Next slide, please. Here's a view looking towards the back of the units from inside, and as you can see, some of the units have lots of glass. This was a concern. And, I hate to say it, there's no way to get around, having nicer units. You either have them or you don't. So these ones are going to be unlike any that we've had on the Rancheria to date. They are beautiful. They are light filled. They should have a lot of very good, healthy and energy in them. And that's really what we wanted. We didn't want anything that was, kind of dark and gloomy and older or leaking or, any of a lot of the same problems that tend to have with modular housing. I think one of the things in Indian country that we have to start thinking about and looking at is, do we want better housing, or do we want to just talk about having better housing? And then truly make that dream a reality. So these are our first attempt and step into the future of having something we feel that not only is it just a home, but it's a beautiful space. Next slide, please. This is a typical view for this time of the year. It's raining. It actually rained yesterday. Today it's not, but it's cloudy and unsettled. It's beautiful. We have, all the seasons here. We're pretty low in terms of elevation, so we don't get a lot of snow. But it is around this that you have a lot of things going on. So you have the kids getting into the bus. You've got a whole community there right across the street. If you look to the very back right of your slide, just behind those sunflowers, you'll see our gymnasium and community center. That's where our Boys and Girls Club operates. And it has well over 150 kids registered in that program from all ages. We have a teen group. We're actually participating. All departments are participating in a wonderful event that a couple of departments got together and coordinated with this year for a light parade and decorating all of the tribal offices. So each tribal office is decorating. We're going to have hot chocolate stations and a parade through the tribal community and down into our main areas of the tribe as well. So it's, we try and do as many things. It's easy for a tribe, I think, to focus on, per capita. Honestly, I mean, it's what happens. I mean, people need money to exist and survive and food and, all the challenges that to try and overcome. But we have to keep pushing these very, very important dynamics. And I would say that our tribal council We have a 4-member tribal council here, of which Mike is one of them, and then our chairman, Philip Gomez, our tribal secretary, Vivian McLeod, as well as our tribal treasurer, Chris McLeod, have been extremely strong advocates of housing. They have carried this torch from the tribal members, and it's really our biggest focus and will remain our biggest focus until we can continue to try and get more of these types of projects done. But in addition to that, as well as focusing on the elders, we really focus a lot on the kids. And so we did, improve this building through CARES as well. When we did this elders project, we spent over $500,000 into our gymnasium, expanding it, redoing the kitchen. We provide hot meals to our kids every single day during the week, as well as our preschool. And so it's just, it's really important, I feel, to diversify what you're trying to accomplish in the various programs, at each tribe. And I would tell you that the main obstacles to this project have been the electrical hookup. We have little obstacles, obviously the contractor and cover stuff, water, sewer, getting that hookup done, all done. We've literally overcome a lot of that. And now it's just a matter of getting folks selected for the homes. That's always a little bit of a stressful process because, you want to be fair, but, there's not, it's not like you have, here's 20 elders, so here's 20 homes. You might have 20 elders, but there's 6 homes. So we have to start somewhere. And we do have elders in our standard subdivision community already. So there are some designated elder homes there. So we would like to continue to try and develop other homes as well for any of our adult members that need to have housing in the area. So we're going to keep this a focus, but I would say that the things that were definitely a positive and worked really well is our team kept meeting and as often as necessary, literally as much as just to last month. There's a monthly update call, a Zoom that folks can sit in on to get the most recent updates. Unfortunately, the update lately has been hurry up and wait for the electrical connection. So other than that, it's been coordinated. I mean, everybody has worked together. Everybody had their input. It's like any project. Not everybody agreed on anything. Sometimes we were able to change stuff. Sometimes we weren't. It just, you have to keep moving and pushing. And there definitely has to be a spirit of the team in order to accomplish the project. And really, you can't let any obstacles stop you. It doesn't matter how long it takes. We were going to finish this project last year, and we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. So we literally had these houses installed before the end of last year. So it's been a year now. But it doesn't matter. However frustrating it gets, it's not an option for us to, throw our hands up and be like, well, we're just not going to do it. No, we're doing it. We're finishing it. It will be done, beautiful, completed, and we will have folks in those homes as soon as we're able to with the electrical hookups. And I think that's the lesson, is that just like anything else, it takes good old-fashioned hard work to roll your sleeves up, to work together, to make a project go from conception to reality. Final slide, please. Want to thank you very much for your listening to our project today. Obviously, if you have any questions, track down one of our staff. They were all there. They've been there. Talk to Gina, talk to Mike, talk to Joe, any of our staff. Virginia, she came on a little bit later in the process, but they've all been there. The rest have all been there since the beginning. And we're very proud that we're at the point where we're at, and it has definitely been a long time coming, but we're right there, and we're going to see it over the finish line. And I really want to thank all the folks at NAIHC for allowing me to discuss our program. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them depending on what Tony or them have in mind. So enjoy the rest of your conference and have a great day.
Great.